Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Law Chats with John and Amy. I'm John Yulian.
And I'm Amy Polanco. This week's question is, what is the emotional impact of a divorce? So nothing light to start the day with.
And I think the important part of this to keep in mind is there is an emotional toll due to a divorce. Um, how you deal with that is up to you, but it's critical you be aware that it is a life-changing event and you have to be able to deal with it. You can deal with it through therapy, a professional, whether it be a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, whatever is going to be best for you, or maybe it's through friends and family that you rely on for support. But there's no question, it's an aspect that you have to deal with and you have to be prepared to deal with because if you don't, you're not going to be as good a parent as you should be to your children, not going to be as good in dealing with others, and you're not going to be as effective in being able to deal with your divorce and being able to proceed. Amy, what about some other aspects to the emotional toll that you get to
Yeah,
see in handling divorce?
yeah, I think when you're getting divorced, not only is it changing everything financially, emotionally, your time schedule also changes. And I think people make new habits at that time because either your kids aren't there all the time or your spouse isn't there all the time. So it's a time where we encourage you to pick up good habits. And that could be you're doing weekly brunch with your friends or you're watching, the game every Sunday with your friends. Like being social, we think has always been really helpful for our clients, but also like, okay, well now you are gonna hit the gym because you're gonna get all this emotion out. Maybe that's the way that it works better for you, or you want instead like a yoga class to kind of like calm yourself and be zen. You want to pick up a new hobby, all of a sudden you're doing art or woodworking or whatever it is. I think any kind of outlet where you're like allowing yourself to kind of be a little bit introspective. And it could be kickboxing, but could be, you know, knitting, whatever it is that works for you. I think it's a time where you institute those new habits in a healthy way, because what we don't want your new habits to be are sitting on the couch in the dark, scrolling through Instagram, drinking, gambling. Those are bad habits that we don't want you to pick up in this time when you're already through so much emotional upheaval. So
Yeah. And thanks, Amy. And I think the big thing is also people need to be prepared that when you're going through a divorce, you're going to have plenty of good days. You're going to have plenty of difficult days. The range of emotion is tremendous during a divorce process. But if you do have the support system, if you're dealing with it, you have to tell yourself these are all a normal range of emotions that people go through and you don't want to just become obsessed with the divorce 24/7. So you bring up a lot of different things people can do. It's partly to distract you, to keep you busy, to keep you healthy, both physically and emotionally, so that you can deal with the divorce in the best manner possible, which is critical.
I will say also, most of the time, if you're getting divorced, other people know about it. So come up with a way. Sometimes you're going to be at the grocery store and run into another parent from the school and they may bring it up. Come up with your stock response of like, you know, yep, it's a rough time, but we're both supporting little Jimmy, whatever, and have a stock response when it's like, I am not able to emotionally connect with you right now. Like, I'm not in the mood to talk about this. Don't feel like you have to talk about it because other people know, but maybe like prepare yourself that people are going to ask you questions about it when you are not in that zone or wanting to talk about it, and have thought about like how you want to respond so that you're not put on the spot in the middle of a situation, so that you're not feeling the emotional upheaval about it. You already have an answer prepared.
And then one other thing I'd add, Amy, is you can only control your behavior and how you deal with things. You don't have that control over your spouse, so or the other parent, and do the best job you can dealing with things on your end because that is something you have control over. And I think if you deal with that aspect of the divorce, the emotional aspect and keeping yourself healthy and getting the support you need, it will go a long way to help you moving forward with your life and dealing with the divorce and being prepared to move forward.
And I will add, the emotional impact is not limited to the two parties. If you guys have kids, it will have an impact on them. I know that's like a huge factor in most divorces. So we want you to set your kids up for success. Make sure their teachers are aware of what's going on so that they can tell you if they're noticing any behavioral changes. Make sure they're, meeting with the school counselor to talk about what's going on. And then if you can, both be actively involved in the school so your kids feel like they're still getting support. And then we always encourage like a therapist, or if the kid's young, maybe a play therapist for your children as well, just to help them navigate and learn how to deal with these emotions that they probably haven't faced yet in life. So we just want to establish healthy patterns for your kids as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. I think that's a great place to finish up for today.
Thanks for joining Law Chats with John and Amy. We look forward to chatting with you again next time.
If you have a question or comment, feel free to email us at info@yulianlaw.com. Remember that Law Chats with John and Amy is intended as a general reference and considered general advertising, and listeners should check for changes to any applicable laws and consult with an attorney on any legal issue. The information provided does not constitute legal advice, and any thoughts or commentary by the podcasting lawyers is provided as a service to the community and does not constitute solicitation of legal advice. The lawyers in the law firm of Julian & Associates PC make no warranties and disclaim all liabilities for damages resulting from its use. Nothing provided in the podcast should be considered a substitute for advice from counsel. No attorney-client relationship is formed by listening or participating in this podcast, and in the event that the podcast receives emails about the subject matter, no attorney-client relationship is created via the email communication.